Salut, c'est Madame Hennessy. Today I'm going to try and explain how to do a dictée, so a dictation. This is an activity that I really like to do, especially near the beginning of the school year. I'll scoot the camera a little bit this way. But it can be a very soothing activity to do in class. And if you do it right, it's a really easy way to get points. And so you get points, you learn proper French spelling, you can make connections between French spelling and pronunciation, you build your vocabulary. There are a whole bunch of benefits to it. But I'm just going to kind of walk you through the process, so then when you're doing it either via virtual learning or in-class learning, then hopefully it will go smoothly. So first I'll just describe the process itself. For any dictée, you're going to, in class, get a dictée piece of paper. When you're doing virtual learning, you can just use any piece of paper. I'm going to pretend that this is my giant piece of notebook paper. And for virtual learning, you'll eventually take a photo of your completed dictée at the end and then submit that on Canvas. In class, you would just turn it in. But for dictée, you're going to hear the teacher say a sentence very slowly. So I'll say each sentence or phrase or whatever it is 3 times. The first time will be very slowly. The second time will be excruciatingly slowly. And the third time will be very slowly. So I'm going to say the same thing in the same order 3 different times, super, super slowly. I'm going to say all punctuation out loud for you. And you just write down what you think you hear. So that's your first step. Step 2, I'm going to spell out the entire sentence on the board for the whole class. And while I do that, you use a separate colored pen, pencil, marker, crayon, whatever you happen to be writing with that day, to write a corrected version underneath. You circle the differences, then you skip some lines and you move on to the next sentence until we're done with the dictée. So whenever you're starting a dictée, your starting point is that you need a piece of paper, usually like a normal sized piece of paper, but I'm just using a giant paper for the purpose of this video so that everything's easier for you to see. And then 2 different colors of writing utensils. Usually pencils, pens, but I'm using markers again so that it'll be easier for you guys to see in the video. So a good starting point when you're doing any assignment thingy is to write down the title. So at the top I'm going to put dictée, so D-I-C-T-E, acute accent E. And then you also want to put the date, so also your name. So I'm just going to put Madame Hennessy. What is today's date? So, June-tober 12th or whatever date it happens to be. Today is August 3rd. So those are good things to put at the top. Obviously, start with numbering your first one, number 1. So I'm going to, for this example video, be saying the sentences a lot faster than I actually will in class. But let's say the first sentence is ça va bien. So let's say I put my version of ça va bien. Wow. So that's my confused student version. Sometimes in class you'll end up having like a perfect version. Sometimes you'll have something like this. Sometimes it will resemble neither, and that's fine. So then, as the teacher, I'll write on the board numéro 1, ça va bien, c'est dit, A, V, A, B, I, E, N, point. Except I'll do that slower. And while I'm doing that, you definitely want to listen to me spelling it out loud so that way you learn your French alphabet. And you're going to write underneath the same letters with the same accents, the same spacing. Okay. And then, now that I have these two different versions, then I'm going to take the time as a student to circle the differences that I find between my original guess and the perfect version. So I noticed that we have a C with a squiggly instead of the letter S, so I'll circle that. I have this extra letter that I added. I added a letter there, put that, put an H instead of an N, and I put the word point instead of the punctuation mark point, which means period. So in terms of like how this one would be graded, would be making sure that the perfect version is actually spelled perfectly because it's on the board when we're going over it. And then circling all those differences. Please, 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 please put the punctuation at the end of the perfect version because they tell you to in class every single time. Then, once you've done that, then you skip 2 lines. So leave 2 blank lines, then you write your next number. So we're going to have number 2. And let's say the next one is il y a un élève. So I'll put the student version of il y a un élève. As the teacher, I'll give the perfected version, the en, y, a, un, accent aigu, and accent grave, point. So then, as the student, again, you're going to write your perfected version directly underneath. So, il, y, a, élève. So, for this one, il versus il, maybe you can put like a slash to indicate that, no, my computer fell asleep. Maybe you can put a slash to indicate that we have a differentiation between 2 words that I mushed together in my version, but the perfect version has 2 separate words. Maybe I can put a slash. You can slash instead of circling sometimes if you feel like it. I don't really care. Versus une, and then this is one where you really want to pay attention to the accent. So the direction of the accent is going to be really important, and that'll just be a thing that happens throughout the year. After we do every single dictée, we'll eventually go over what the sentences mean, and you can take out a 3rd color of marker or writing utensil of whatever sort you feel like. If you want to, you don't have to take out a 3rd color, but let's say I want to use red. Then you can also take notes in those 2 lines that you left for yourself. So maybe under ça va bien, maybe I want to specifically mark that like bien means good or means well. And maybe I want to put a note for myself that point is a period. Then I have space where I can do that. I can put that extra information for myself so that way I have these notes ready to go. They stay in my French portfolio. Yeah, that's pretty much the whole dictée process. Every time you do a dictée, again for virtual learning, you'll want to take a photo of your finished dictée so you can turn it in and get those points. And then also make sure that you are always keeping your dictée from throughout the year because there are going to be a lot of phrases that come up on these that you'll forget if you don't keep it. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with dictée. So, good luck.